Lots of people have 9/11 memories, 9/11 stories, where they were, what they were doing, on that day. And, a lot of people don't. It's been 19 years, which is hard to believe. Uh, and a lot of people, you know, weren't alive then that are now, or were too young to have a memory of it. I was 3 years old when John F. Kennedy was assassinated. And that's one of those kind of historical markers for a lot of people. At 3 years old, I was completely oblivious. I had no idea. So, it means nothing to me in that context. So, so the 9/11 thing for someone that's 18 years old, 20 years old, I get it. It doesn't necessarily have the same resonance. Um, I was working in law enforcement at the time at a refuge, National Wildlife Refuge, Patuxent, which is in Maryland, and it sits with the United States Secret Service Training Center on one end of it, and on the other end of it is Fort Meade, which houses the National Security Agency. Big, tall, mirrored building. And at the time, actually, Fort Meade was an open base. You could drive around in there. I'd get bored on patrol sometimes and just drive in the base and drive around. That obviously changed in short order. But, those days in September, for me, my father's birthday was September 10th. And, like a dutiful son, I called my dad up for his birthday. I wish him happy birthday. And then, of course, the next day, things changed. My mother's birthday is September 13th. Well, I called my dad to wish him a happy birthday. I sort of forgot to call my mother on the 13th because other things were going on. I remember because of where we were, the location and my job, basically like everything in the metro DC area, all the government facilities were evacuated. Lots of rumors flying around. Obviously, NSA was emptied out, and one of the every road up there is extremely busy, but we had the Baltimore-Washington Parkway on one side, and we had Route 32, which was an extremely busy road, basically that separated the refuge from Fort Meade. And, 4-lane highway, very busy at all times. And to facilitate the evacuation, myself and law enforcement, along with Anne Arundel City and some other folks, or Anne Arundel County Police, basically shut down the highway. And once NSA was evacuated, that highway was closed, so that there was no access to NSA or Fort Meade. And I remember standing there outside my patrol vehicle with, I think it was an Anne Arundel police officer, and we were standing there on this empty highway that, a couple hours before had been, you'd get killed if you stood in the middle of it. And just, standing there almost in amazement at that quiet and that calm. Now, on the other end, of the refuge. Again, we had the Secret Service training facility, and a lot of the off-duty Secret Service personnel that that lived in the area. There was this mad scramble as they're blowing through red lights and everything else, trying to get back to the training facility. And rumors were flying everywhere that car bombs had been going off and gas stations were on fire, and it was. And of course, we evacuated the refuge. We had a research facility on the refuge, embedded in the refuge, with a lot of folks, emptied it out, and it was, it was a very exciting in a way and very stressful day. And I remember my law enforcement partner at the time in the refuge, as we're kind of processing through all this stuff, and getting folks out and getting the facility secured. He just looks at me and says, "Tim, we're at war," and it's like, wow, wow. Little did we know what was going to unfold from all of that, and it still kind of, in some ways, remains to be seen what's going to ultimately unfold from all of that. People like to talk about today, and today when I'm recording this is September 12th, and people like to cite, gee, if the country was only so united as now as it was on September 12th, wouldn't that be a great thing? And yes, it would. However, that didn't last all that long, and I had some, personal kind of anecdotal experiences in the immediate aftermath of that, which told me, or gave me the impression that maybe this wasn't so uniting after all. You just have to, ask yourself when and why things changed in the aftermath of that. And everyone has their own experience and their own perspective on it, and I certainly have mine, and have come to some conclusions of my own, but folks can make up their own minds. Once those minds are made up, though, seems very difficult to change.